When it comes to the electricity side of the Water and Power Authority's operations, Tuesday's Public Service Commission meeting focused in large part on WAPA's request to extend the current Levelized Energy Adjustment Charge rate.
At a high level, what we are requesting the Commission to do today is to leave the existing LEAC rate of 22.22 cents per kilowatt hour in place. We submitted materials to the Public Service Commission last week, illustrating that not only is our trailing fuel cost higher than the 22 cents, but that our forward-looking fuel cost is also higher than the 22 cents. If we look at commodity prices in the market, propane prices have come down fairly materially since the LEAC was set back in January of this year. I would note that the 22 cents did not actually include a specific price point in it. The 22 cents came about by letting the VTOL base rate 5.1 cents expire. That base rate 5.1 cents was then moved over into LEAC. And so we do look to get that LEAC process restarted. Now, the key thing at this point, as I mentioned, prices coming down for propane. Diesel's about flat where it was if we go back to January. One of the things that was just not accurate in the LEAC calculations historically was principally the heat rate or the efficiency of our system. Right, the LEAC filings that have been made historically included a heat rate of around 12,000 BTUs per kilowatt hour. What that means for the audience listening in the public is it's basically our miles per gallon if we're a car, right? It's how efficiently we convert fuel into electricity. Our actual heat rate, and we've provided some supplemental materials to Attorney Spren and Chairman Hughes, our actual heat rate is closer to 15,000 BTU per kilowatt hour. Higher is worse, right, when we think about that BTU per kilowatt hour. And so that at this point with current fuel prices is really the dynamic that hurts us from a cash flow perspective. The other dynamic that's very real, and we've acknowledged this as well, is that we do not bill our customers for every kilowatt hour that we produce. And that's something that we have to address as well.
Despite prices for fuel inputs, mainly propane, decreasing, Smith says previous LEAC calculations were made using inaccurate efficiency figures, which now have to be corrected.
LEAC filings that have been made historically included a heat rate of around 12,000 BTUs per kilowatt hour. What that means for the audience listening in the public is it's basically our miles per gallon if we're a car, right? It's how efficiently we convert fuel into electricity. Our actual heat rate, and we've provided some supplemental materials to Attorney Spren and Chairman Hughes, our actual heat rate is closer to 15,000 BTU per kilowatt hour. Higher is worse, right, when we think about that BTU per kilowatt hour. And so that at this point with current fuel prices is really the dynamic that hurts us from a cash flow perspective. The other dynamic that's very real, and we've acknowledged this as well, is that we do not bill our customers for every kilowatt hour that we produce. And that's something that we have to address as well.
In terms of the heat rate dynamic and the associated effects, Smith said it could only be fixed with, quote, new stuff.
I use the example of, to kind of put it in common terms, I have an old 1975 Chevrolet, okay? And people say, WAPA just needs to do better. Well, yes, I don't disagree with that. But what can I do with that old Chevrolet? Okay, I want to improve my gas mileage. I can stop speeding, okay? I cannot accelerate aggressively from the stoplight. Maybe I don't run the air conditioner, right? I get a little better fuel efficiency. But to get a material improvement, I got to buy a new car, right? And that's where the Water and Power Authority is we can operate the machines as best as we possibly can, and the 15,000 heat rate might go to 14.5, 14.8, whatever the number is. It's not going to go to 10, right? Which is where it needs to be.
The Wärtsilä generators are scheduled to come online in March 2023, roughly 3 months from now. WAPA was hoping to have started making moves in that direction by January, but Smith said the current situation with propane, which the Wärtsilä units need to run, is complicating the process.
And obviously, with our relationship with VTOL as it exists today, it's unclear how that will advance, right? And so I wish I had better clarity on that today. We have stressed repeatedly the importance of that cooperation in terms of its impact on the community. But we are still hopeful that March is the online date for the Wärtsilä. But it is a very fair point that every month that project either advances or delays is roughly $3 to $3.5 million of fuel.
Despite the challenges, PSC Chair David Hughes said the territory was finally, quote, very close to an efficient solution for energy generation on St. Thomas, a feat years in the making.
And at that point, we will have solved a $3 to $3.5 million problem that currently the governor of this territory is having to subsidize. That's almost the entirety of the $4 million or so that he's been giving you. St. Croix has a similar problem in that it's running old, inefficient generation. We probably don't today go into a discussion of what your plans are to do about that, but I can assure you the director is thinking about it. And that's kind of the discussion of how we get fossil fuel generation to solve this heat rate problem, which is one of the three components of why this utility under-recovers its fuel.
The PSC approved the extension of the current LEAC rate of 22.22 cents per kilowatt hour for up to 6 months, starting January 1st, 2023.